You're listening to the PT Profit Podcast, episode number 416. Today, I'm breaking down the truth about organic growth on Instagram and sharing the lessons from what I learned from posting for the last 30 days consistently 3 to 5 times per day. Are you ready? Let's get started. What's up, coach? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the PT Profit Podcast. I'm your host, Beverley Simpson. And if this is the first time you're hanging out with me today, welcome. I'm super pumped that you're here today. I'm really excited and nervous to share a very vulnerable episode, really pulling back the curtains behind the experiment that I just completed for the last 30 days, where I decided to post consistently 3 to 5 times per day. And I want to share with you my biggest takeaways, my aha moments, and what I plan to do with that information and with those insights moving forward. Before we dive in, I think it's important that you understand the full scope of context and level of experience that I'm bringing to this conversation, because it's important to remember that while we hear all the time that we can't compare our day 1 to someone else's day 100, it's essential that we also don't compare our day 1 to someone else's day 1, because there are a certain set level of skills and speed of skill acquisition that people bring with them through their own context to every conversation. So it's not fair to say that every single person is necessarily starting from the exact same playing field when they're not. Those blinders are essential when it comes to really diving into growing your organic or to growing an organic strategy and audience on social media, whether you're using Facebook groups, Instagram, long form, short form. Context really matters in this regard. So with that said, there's some important things that I think in the spirit of full transparency that I want to share with you. Number one is that I have over 10 years experience in sales and specifically in sales in the fitness industry. So I have been doing this work since 2013. So I'm very skilled and effective when it comes to communicating offers and encouraging people to make buying decisions without adding pressure. So this is a skill of mine that I've carried with me into the online space. That's number one. I was a former district fitness manager for a national gym in Manhattan. So I know I have a very high level of risk tolerance and capacity when it comes to growing a online business and growing a business, period. Number 3, I have built an Instagram account before to 18,000 followers before I started over and built this one, which to this day we're at 4.1 thousand followers at this moment of this recording. These context components that I am giving you are essential when it comes to some of the strategies that I am about to unpack for you. And then number 4, lastly, I also want to add, in addition to posting consistently 3 to 5 times per day for the last 30 days, I also did 2 important things. I studied other content creators, some of the top content creators that teach Instagram organic methods. I went to their accounts. I bought some of their programs. And I'm going to pull back the veil on some of the things that they talk about forward facing and not behind and things that they talk about behind their paywalls. They don't talk about forward facing often, or they do once in a while. This is really important. It's really important that I'm giving you this context, not to criticize, but importance that you have the full picture of what it is that we're looking at when it comes to organic growth on Instagram. Some additional context that I think matters in the lens of what I'm about to share is a couple of things. My process is all about ads, and I show people how to use ads so that their ads could be profitable, so that you actually generate revenue from the moment that you turn ads on and start using ads. That's what I do. So there are a couple of things I wanted to make sure that I did in order to be integral within this process, and also just kind of share with you some of the things that I experienced. I'm going to give you the full nitty-gritty, full transparency, nothing to hide. This is the real deal. And of course, if you have questions, just tag me at Beverley Simpson Fitness or come find me in the Instagram and just send me a DM and I'd be happy to talk with you about it. And it's me there, so you'll be talking to me. Here are some of the things that I noticed. Number one, I wanted to pull back my ad spend because just ads are the jam. Like, that's kind of my biggest takeaway. My biggest takeaway from the whole thing, if you were to turn off this episode right now, it would be use ads and make your ads pay for themselves. They are so much cheaper, both in your energy, in your effort, in the money that you actually spend, even though I know that's counterintuitive. I'm going to break down why, but also just for the mental load. I can't believe how much time I spent consuming on the platform, which was just detrimental to my mental health. So if it were me, and my full thing at the end of the day is to basically manage your energy as well as use ads. Just ads are cheaper, and they cost less, in my opinion, when it comes to resources. And so we'll break down why I'm saying that, how I can be saying that, and in this episode. But I wanted to make sure that I was using this through the lens of like, hey, I'm going to turn down my ads and I'm going to make my ads do less work, and the organic strategies are going to do the majority of the work. Okay, so that was number one. Then number two is something I think is also really important, because I think it did set this precedent against my energy that caused a lot of pain and suffering, is that I broke my email list. Now, when I tell you that I broke my email list, I mean that because I build an email list of customers, this means that 80% of the people that are on my email list are buyers. They have bought something from me. And so that means that they are just, when you pay, you pay attention. People are more engaged in my work because of the investment that they have made. Now, don't get me wrong. People get this twisted. When they hear me say things like that, means that I don't give enough value, or value that's free, that I don't give enough, when that is actually one of the biggest mistakes and misconceptions that you can get into. Because the truth of the matter is, most people think that they are in competition with their colleagues or competition with their, with competitors. But the truth is that we are in competition with attention, and you are not in a game of who's doing what better than you, and more so in a game of how can we speak to our client so that they actually consume your work, whether it's short form or long form. Because the truth of the matter is, I don't know a single soul out there aside from Beyonce or maybe the top 1% that's going to buy a $5,000 to $10,000 program based on a 7-second reel. It's just not going to happen. There's so much more messaging that needs, especially now in this economic state where people are stressed about their revenue. It's not that they're not buying. It means that there's just more resistance. There's more communication and demonstration of proof that your process works that is required. Why? Because people have been inundated with programs that under deliver and over promise, people that ghost. And then what happens to so many of the smart and struggling coaches that I work with is they start thinking, oh, it's me, my stuff's not good, when it just can't be further from the truth. Because there are people out there right now on the internet that actively have zero problem harming you. They have no problem just putting stuff out there and at your risk and to your detriment. And then what's worse is that those are the people that are successful because they have no problem showing up, sharing their message, and doing all of the things that are out of integrity that my smart and struggling coaches don't want to be associated with. So then they end up not sharing their message. And I don't know about you, but you can't buy from the internet's best kept secret. So if they're going to buy something, why not buy from you? Okay. So with those caveats in place, now we can get into some of the learnings and takeaways that I got from this experiment, and why I ultimately came down to the fact that your job must be to use ads and make the ads pay for themselves. Like, that's it. If you do that, then the sky's the limit. And it's not that it's either or. I'm not saying use ads and don't use organic marketing. That's actually not what I'm saying at all. It's just typically what I found and what I see is that people have very two polarizing camps when it comes to building on Instagram. So wait, now that we've got the context out of the way, I also need to reiterate the basics. And I'm sorry to say, if you feel like you've heard this before, then I want to invite you to hear this in a different way because this is super important. But business is simple. It's not always easy, but it really is simple. At its core, you have people in a problem. Attract people with a problem and then solve it. Solve it and sell them the solution. People get so, people, it's more like give them the solution through the communication of selling the transformation. Okay. Now people get all freaky because they think, oh, I don't want to be sleazy. I don't want to sell and I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to harm people. But here's the thing. If you can't operate from knowing that selling is a service, then you will likely struggle as a business. Even if you are a nonprofit, the two most important things that a nonprofit needs, money, volunteers, period. They need money and they need time from people. So it's actually a disservice, in my opinion, to your clients when you undercharge, because if there's no exchange, if there's no emotional value, and it's not for you to decide what's expensive compared to what? Somebody's email, when they're opening and reading my emails, that's enough of an investment for me. That's why people get so twisted. They think I'm not sharing and that I'm not pouring into my people, which is just not true. This podcast itself has over 400 hours. It's almost 600 hours of resources that literally, if you listen to start to finish, not only have I brought in top experts on business development, on marketing, on sales, including my own experience, I've also brought you some of the leading experts on cutting edge science. So you would know how to be a better coach, trainer, health professional. So that's not free, by the way. That not only is that years of time that and expertise that no one will ever get back, it costs money and time to record, to edit, to share. None of that, by the way, is free. It's just stuff that people often take for granted because they think that's just part of what it is that you do. And so just because there is an exchange of a resource, meaning if I put this out there and you are listening and you're engaging and you come DM me or you send me an email or you read the email, then that to me, you're a buyer in my mind. You are someone who actively participates in what I have to say. So, because if you continue to go down that path and road, if I just need to keep giving everything away for free, then what happens is you end up attracting freebie seekers, people who have the best of intentions to read it, but then they don't show up for themselves. They complain. They put all the blame on you. They refuse to take any personal responsibilities. That is not what we want. And it has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with an energy exchange. And that first comes from me, from you, really owning the value of what it is that you bring to the market space. And spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with your value as a human being. So this idea of charge your worth is priceless. You are worthy because you exist. What you bring to the market is different than your worth as a human being. Okay. All that caveat in place. Now, let's kind of dive into some of the nitty-gritty big takeaways and things that I observed in my experience of posting 3 to 5 times per day for the last 30 days. And the truth of how I intended to use that information and what I would recommend for you depending on what phase of business you're in. Okay, so knowing that all businesses need people, prospects, and leads, it's really important to understand where you fall in terms of business growth. Because business, in the way that I teach it, typically happens in 4 phases. And this is understanding what phase you're in is oftentimes where I really like to help people build their businesses and navigate through, whether you're in formula, whether you're an accelerator. And by the way, you can go through this process even though you are, say, phase 3 in your business where you're scaling it and moving into phase 4, automating it. And then sometimes you need to go back to the basics when you're introducing new offers. Okay. So it's not that you build this business in 4 phases and then you're just kind of trapped in these phases. No, we're always going back and reiterating our offers, changing the way we communicate our process. So we're changing our messaging. We're looking at different ways to deliver the offer. So sometimes that changes, but not necessarily changing in what it is that you actually deliver. Okay. So what are those 4 phases? Well, first we like to design it. So if you understand already that your business is essentially a machine, and you know that you need to attract people, convert them into prospects, and then purchasers. So it's like going from never hearing of you before to hearing of you to making a buying decision. And we understand that that's the customer journey. The first phase is really designing out what you want that machine to look like. Then, and for me and for my clients, I like to start them with the offer. I want the offer brief to influence what it is that they're going to be communicating. Now, I know this is backwards. I know people say start with the niche, survey your audience, do that messaging. Listen, I go deep on this in my free training, Simple Scaling, and sharing with you why I do it the way that I do. But and honestly, it really comes down to, if you want to be an influencer and build this personal brand, then by all means, start with your messaging and just keep talking about what all the things that you're passionate about. In fact, this is one of the things I discovered. Like, that's fine. It's not right or wrong. I'm just sharing with you the lens of what I teach and why I teach it this way. My people, I want them to get paid within the first 7 to 14 days of working with me. And there are 3% of your audience and people that are access to your audience that are ready to purchase, and they're ready to purchase right now. So in phase 1, we design the machine for what we want it to look like. Then we move to phase 2 and we address the first 3% of your audience, starting with the offer. Because once you know what that premium offer is going to be, it will influence the way that you're communicating your message so that you meet people where they're at and carry them along for the ride to the sales mechanism. So in the deliver it phase, we access this 7 to 14 day, depending, rapid lead launch, which is essentially just a communication component of moving people, inviting the 3% of your audience who are ready to invest to come into your space. Now, what happens to a lot of people is that they kind of get stuck in this patterning of only really going after the 3% of the buyers, when instead we want to move to phase 3 and we want to actually manage and talk to the 97% of people who are your buyers, and they just haven't bought yet. And so this is when we start to move into phase 3, the scale it phase. So now that we've got a cash infusion from our rapid lead launch, now we move into the scale it phase, where we invite people either into something that's free with the tripwire on it, as well as, or a low ticket offer, so that you can create a buyer. We want to grow our email list of buyers, people who show up, consume the work, pay attention, and then will convert later into premium clients when they want, on their timetable instead of your timetable as a content creator or as a coach, because now you're not in this pressure like, oh my gosh, I spent $700 on ads and I need to make that $700 back. You're not left holding the bag. Why? Because you get paid every single day through organic and paid traffic. All that money just goes back into the business. So all you have to do is show up and share the pieces of content that are going to help nurture and communicate the 97% of people that are not yet ready to make a buying decision. And then once you scale that, you just begin to automate it, and you start to automate it, you work out of the business. And those are the 4 phases of business growth. Now, as you are in phase 3 and phase 4 and reaching those maximum impact components, You might have new offers that you want to come and stress test. So you layer in a rapid lean launch or you decide, oh, I want to design it. I want to stress test this new offer. So you might go back to phase 1 and phase 2 in your business building growth ideas, which is fine. But the reality is that you're still actually in phase 3 and phase 4 because now you're dealing with profit margins. You're scaling it. You are starting to solve for capacity. And every phase in business are going to have different new layers of new, fresh problems. And it's a good thing because, like I said earlier, more problems mean more solutions that are needed and more opportunity for you to generate value in this world, create value and generate the revenue that you want and need and make the impact that you desire. And the amount doesn't matter. It's not up to me. It's up to you. So with that said, Instagram growth, knowing that that's the structure, you first need to understand where you are when it comes and how you are using Instagram as a tool, depending on what phase of growth you're in. So for example, if you're in phase 2 and you're delivering it and you're speaking to the 3% of your audience or audience you have access to, that's very different conversion intention with your content. If you're in phase 3 and you're scaling it and now you're addressing more the 97% of your buyers, that's a very different intention with your audience or with your use for your Instagram. So maybe you're actually now trying to grow an audience because you know that the business back end is set up. When the reality is that most people accidentally chase vanity and popularity metrics through trying to chase audience and get likes, shares, and comments because they're told that that's the best way to grow on Instagram. But that's like trying to fill up a colander with water. And I probably don't have to tell you how ineffective that is. So it's really essential that you understand not only how specifically are you using Instagram as a tool for business growth, but also really help you understand where you are in the phases of your business growth so you know what the conversion intention actually is. So there are 2 camps that I really learned on Instagram. So the first camp, when I kind of touched on it already, but I want to dive deeper onto it, is this idea of build a personal brand where you build an audience, then you build a business. So lots of messaging around this, around be the niche, post daily, add value, don't sell for the first 3 months, build a huge audience, and then you'll be able to sell by month 4. Money will follow once people know, like, and trust you. And then camp 2, which is the camp that I fall into, is you first build a business, starting with what it is that you want to be talking about, letting the offer brief influence your messaging, and then attract the audience starting from there. So this is like start with 3%, then you're 97%. You're the business, people buy outcomes, sell without selling. Every post makes a case for the next step. You don't need 1,000 followers to make money. And this is really the camp that I land. In the previous camp, the personal training brand camp, it's not that it's bad. It's just this is more content around like post your passions. I find a lot of influencers live in that camp. I find a lot of people who are multi-passionate and don't yet know what they want to sell will fall into that camp. A lot of content creators who just like making content fall into that camp. There people who want to get brand deals fall into that camp. Now, it's not that it's either or, so don't get it twisted. Of course, there's going to be overlap. It's just going to be more about the style and intention of what it is that you create in order to grow. Because what you need to understand in my camp, in the business camp, is this is where you get masterful in selling without selling. So it's not that every single post is a promotional buy my stuff piece, but every single post is going to have a conversion container that's wrapped into it. Even if you don't even have a call to action, comment the word, DM me, blah, 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 whatever, link in bio. Even if the call to action is as simple as like, tell me below, let's discuss it in the comments, tag someone who needs to see this. But the truth is that regardless of what it is that you decide, all of your content or all of your business requires audience, prospects, purchases. That's the essence. Okay. So you'll need to attract an audience and carry them through this customer journey, whether you're starting with the audience building and then building the business, or you have a business in mind. Now, for me and the people I serve, we start with the business in mind. Okay, so let's talk about the nitty-gritty differences between paid strategies and then organic strategies, because I think it's essential and no one talks about it. So now, once you're clear on what you're doing with your content, because every piece of content is designed for a conversion event, even if it's, hey, I'm Beverly, it's nice to meet you. Come into my DMs. I have something for you. Okay, it's time to make a buying decision. Like, that's that customer journey. So if I was creating content that's for reach, meaning people who never seen me before, then I want to meet them where they're at. I need to go and address content that's things they're searching for, content that's in their mind, and then shift perspective, add value. And when I say add value, what I mean by that is shifting perspective, providing results in advance to demonstrate proof that this is the way that it's to be done, and then also to provide a clear path to yes, so that people I'm asking them for the next step. Okay, those are the 3 value adds that I'm talking about. Then you're going to, and so it's really only paid or it's organic. But those types of content remain, whether you're using Facebook ads or Meta ads or Instagram ads or not. Or if you're using long form, short form, whatever, paid or organic, that's it. Now, for the purposes of this episode, I'm strictly speaking to Instagram, but what I also learned is that if we were to so I wanted to do this experiment to speak specifically about organic strategies. So in addition to the why I'm also saying that paid ads are cheaper, there's just some other things I want you to take into context, okay? Paid or organic will need content. So this is if you don't want to create content, then don't do an online business. Even if you're using ads, you will still need to create content. And you will still need to create content pretty frequently. So if you hate creating content, then let's look at that. What specifically do you hate about it? If it's time, it's taking too much time, let's look for the ways that you can reduce your time. I mean, I've got 90 days done for you content. I already did it for you, so you could grab that. That's number 1. Is it that all the energy and effort expenditure, the mental load of creating the content and the decision fatigue? If that's it, then how can we make it easier for you? If it's that you hate content because you feel silly, you feel criticized, then what is the conversation that needs to happen, coaching, insight to help you make it easier, faster, better? Okay? Because you're going to get judged 100% of the time. So isn't it more important to focus on the people that you know you're going to make an impact than it is to worry about the people who have nothing to do with what it is that you are with paying your Visa bills? Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, every single piece of growing a business requires energy, effort, time, and money. So if you're doing organic strategies, then it's still money, and people get that confused because time you can't get back. Time is infinitely more valuable than money. But if you were to put a price or a value on your hour of time, think about how much time you spent agonizing, scrolling, planning, all the time that you spent in consumption in an effort to research the creative, and how much it took you to create it, film it. That's money. That's has a money or a monetized value. So that's time you can't get back, when you could be having a conversation with someone, when you could be checking in with a prospect, where you could be actually doing revenue generating activity. Now, I'm not saying content creation isn't. You want to be looking at, are you getting a 4 times return on investment in your resources? So if you spend 4 hours on something, are you getting, whatever that is, 32 times the amount of effort? Are you getting a return on your 4-hour investment? Now, sometimes it can be challenging to measure that because not everything is always money, right? Sometimes it's not money. Sometimes the return is a speed and skill acquisition. That's not for me to decide, but it is something I want you to reflect on. Then I also want you to think about, you have to get your ads to pay for yourself, which I've already talked about, but like even people who are organic strategy only, or they tell you that they don't use ads. When you buy their course tells you, has a full section on how to use ads if you have less than 1,000 followers, or how to boost posts, or to use boost posts, or to use to use other people's audience. Like, just straight up, you're going to need traffic, period. And you're either going to be in this camp where you're focusing on the 3% of buyers that are ready now, or 97% of buyers who just need more messaging to answer questions about your process, answer questions about the problem, answer questions about the outcome. That's it. That's all you're doing, addressing those resistance. And resistance comes up in process resistance, logistical resistance, so time and money, and then, fear and doubt and desire resistance. Are they, they've had experiences like this before, and it's your job and your communication of your value adds, meaning you shift perspective because everybody's operating from mistakes and misconceptions, otherwise they wouldn't be in a problem. Demonstrate your authority. This is where you show, don't tell, and give them results in advance. And then a clear path to yes, where you actually invite them to say yes to themselves. Because the truth, the energy exchange, whether it's money, time, email, real estate inbox, that's not up to you. It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with your client saying yes to themselves. Even if you look at some of the other biggest players like Alex Hormozi, he started with ads. He used ads and then he grew an organic audience. So ads are the way. It's the best way, it's the fastest way, it's the cheapest way, in my opinion. Now, here's the other reason why that I want to look at, because it's also not either or. So when I tell you that I'm going back to my ads, it's not because I won't be doing organic. I will still layer in my organic strategy. It only helps my ads. It's just I'm now more convicted than ever to help people, to remind people that ads are for everyone, period. And what killed me is that a lot of these organic strategists will say things like, oh, well, you can't use ads until you've hit 10K because you really need to test out your messaging. But that's not true. That's not true. I can't even tell you how many times. Remember when I told you I had an account that had 17,000 followers, and then when I started this one over, I posted the exact same reel, and one had 143 views and the other had 14,000. And there was nothing different about them except for that one account was newer. So sometimes it's not your content. And when the gurus are out there shouting that, I think that it's dangerous advice. Because you pouring your heart and soul into content that nobody sees and then deciding, oh, well, so-and-so said it's not good, my content sucks, and then changing things. I see this all the time in my clients. They keep pulling levers in their business about, oh, this isn't working, so maybe just throw out the baby in the bathwater. This isn't working, so let me try something different, when the reality is they just need to get it out more, and they need to play Instagram's algorithm games because the algorithms matter, period, if you're doing Instagram only. And Instagram, and despite Adam Mosseri's invitations or his intentions of shifting the algorithms to focus more like TikTok's algorithms where your follower count doesn't matter, it's not really true. I have not yet seen it reflected. And I just got access to trial reels. So the algorithms are still heavily influenced by the number of followers and the length of time you've been on the platform. So, just take that for what it's worth. So for me, I would rather get less than 1 cent a day views than go and do the organic strategies that are literally required in order for you to grow. And so here's what I'm going to say. And this is something I recently said on my post, and something else that I've noticed and what I found based on my experience. Okay, so right now, at the time of this recording, we're really in a volume game. So I like to think of things as phases and Instagram growth phases. So In phase one, if you are like just starting out your business, or you are, depending whatever camp you decide, and you're just kind of starting and you're trying to figure out your messaging, then you're really in a volume play. And I would recommend that you post 1 to 5 times a day. And this is so that you get the reps of repeating yourself and really finding your stride in your messaging. Okay, so you're going to post 1 to 5 times a day. Then you have to engage with your clients and your colleagues. You have to introduce yourself to the party. Instagram is a party. You need to get out there and you need to knock on doors. You need to introduce yourself and you need to say, hey, I'm here. And not only will you be introducing yourself to your potential clients, you're also introducing yourself to Instagram so that Instagram can start monitoring what do you like, what do you consume, if you like Sally's stuff, maybe Sally likes your stuff, and so that's literally, you are training both your audience and the algorithms. Okay, so when you're in phase one, you got to first learn your stride and figure out, what are you about? What is the North Star? This is something I also talk to about with my clients. What's your sticky anchor? What is the thing that you are going to be known for? And now there are lots of different things that you can be known for, meaning, are you known for a core message? Are you known for a style in how you communicate that message? So for example, like if you look at Pernilla, her side by side, like everyone knows what her how her content's going to be delivered. I look at and I looked at this through the lens of like a fashion. Like there is this amazing woman, Ayasat, is that her name? She has a sticky anchor in terms of answer someone questions, and she does it in a certain way every single day, in every way, so that are every single time. If you look at my friend James Capola, his content, he got known from Tammy, and then he broke through from Tammy's skits, as well as response content from people who were hurting others in the fitness industry. That was his style and way, and it was constant, it was consistent. Then you look at Joey Swole. Joey Swole, this is not a conversation about whether you like it or who's right or wrong. That's not what it is. This is about analyzing messaging and communicating of messaging in a way that provides a sticky anchor. And you're not going to find out what that is for yourself until you start doing. So when you get to phase 2 and you start to figure out, oh, okay, so here's my sticky anchor. This is the message that I'm known for, the top 3 things that I talk about. Here are the styles that pop off for me. Then you double down and you repeat, because repetition is the mother of all learning. And then now you're in phase 2 and you start posting anywhere between 1 to 3 times a day now, because now you're starting to break through. You get sticky. People start knowing you for a style, a way, and a message, and then you repeat it on repeat. So it gets easier as you begin this process, okay? Then you can go into the and then your ads on the back end. I mean, it only helps your ads. So it's not either or, okay? Now, here's what you have to understand that I think is the most expensive component of organic strategies, is that you have to manage your emotional state. It's a nonstop, full stop, non-starter. You have to. And it's going to be hard. Even from somebody, and I guess I shouldn't speak that into you. It can potentially be hard, I'll say it that way. Coming from someone who's done so much personal development work, I have done so much nervous system training, I have done a lot of resilience. I just noticed for myself that I had a huge increase in my comparison feelings. I had more anxiety feelings. I had more feeling like I wasn't enough. I realized that I was doing way more research and consumption than I was on what I was doing in creation. Why? Because the dopamine hits of like, oh, this is working, knowing that I'm measuring it, is very powerful. Also, the algorithms are so sophisticated. So when you are posting content, when you are engaging on people, they start serving you content that's more like what you're engaging on and more like what you're posting about. Because to them, Instagram is number one sole purpose is to keep you on the platform. They're not thinking of you as a business owner. Like, oh, this is a business owner, so let's not show her colleagues. But so what would happen is that you'd post something and then you'd see someone else doing the same thing or something similar, if not better than you. Now, of course, like logically, I can know that, hey, it's abundant, air is abundant, there's room for everybody. So logically, I know that that's not true. But emotionally, I felt like, but it was much harder to manage because I was doom scrolling way more. I was feeling less creative. I felt like anxious. I felt like, and it wasn't the pressure of creating content. It was what was happening to me because I was consuming content. And when I'm using ads, I consume way, way, way less. So, and the way that I think about it too is like, you know, would you put an alcoholic behind the bar and ask them to serve alcohol to, on SantaCon? Chances are probably not. And so for me, my main takeaway was that I love social media and it has been so powerful for me in connecting with really like-minded, incredible humans. But you have to be able to use it in a very intentional way. And my other biggest takeaway was that I love the power of what social media can do. And I never in a million years would ever take it back. But it is one of the most powerful tools that you can have in order to generate revenue for your business. But the risk is high. You need to be aware of it and you need to be able to manage it. And when you can do that, the game changes. So for me, when I'm using ads, I can still show up powerfully and post 1 to 3 times. I think the volume matters. And social media is still essential even if you don't like it. So I stand by that the best way to grow a business that is profitable is to use ads and make those ads pay for themselves. And then you layer on that organic strategy. Or you're going to manage your state. So here's what I am planning to do starting 6. I'm going to carry my accelerators and my formula clients through a 30-day daily sales Instagram protocol where we're going to use a combination of $2 to $5 per day on ads in addition to organic content so that we can actually create an Instagram funnel that is going to produce daily buyers every single day. We're going to do this 30-day challenge starting on the 6th. So I'll make sure that I link all of that information up for you because I'd love to invite you to join us so that you could actually set up a Instagram daily sales machine that helps you start generating revenue every single day and have your Instagram ads pay for themselves. And I will create it in a way so that you don't have to use ads if you're still like so burned or scared about using ads. I'll show you how you can do it even if you use organic strategies only, and just, and temper your expectations around what is going to happen in terms of generating revenue for you so that you can actually get realistic, tangible ideas of what it's like to actually grow when you don't know anyone famous, when you're brand new to the online world and using online strategies, when you don't have thousands of dollars to be spending on your Instagram ads. And I'll show you how you can actually start making sales every single day so that you no longer have to beg for clients, don't have to DM 100 days, and you DM 100 people a day. And most importantly, you don't have to live on the social media platform and get hit with a whole bunch of people that are seemingly doing better than you when the truth is that we're all just starting from different levels of expertise, experience, and noise in our brain. So if you want to come join us for this challenge, I'll make sure that I link all of that up in the show notes. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I'll catch you on the next episode.